Hey guys, welcome back to Jason Journey Builds. We've been out a month, not really resting because we feel like we haven't taken a minute off. It's just been crazy between robotics and life, Christmas. So freezing temperatures. I know all you people that are up north, I feel for you. So we got down to 16 here. Joni thought she was going to die.
And oh yeah, I was going to hibernate.
So, and this is the 30th of December, and I'm back out in shorts again. So, you have to love Alabama. So, anyways, we've been out, and it's just part of it. We needed some time away, and one of the guys that I've met through the channel posted this on Instagram the other day, and I put it up on the screen. But it really tells the whole story about having a project vehicle. You know, you love it one minute, you hate it the next. You know, what's this sound? You know, something else now. I love it again. You know, it's just kind of funny. And I saw that, I was like, man, that's exactly what I'm going through right now. And when you get to the shakedown portion of your build, it's like getting it put together and everything is fine, but when you really get out and start driving it, and that's when all the little nitpicky things start showing up, and it's so hard to do something over again. So I was going to tell you a few things that I've been battling, since we've done a video. One thing, we had a small transmission issue. It wouldn't shift. It stayed first gear, it'd go in reverse, and I didn't have time to mess with it before we went to the show, so we took it to the show with forward and reverse. So we didn't tell everybody that. It was just, we were rushing. We just wanted to get there. But I did a little research when I got back, and I pulled the pan, pulled the valve body out, and we had a stuck 1-2 shift valve in it. And I didn't show that because that's something I've never done before. I did a lot of research on it and watched some YouTube videos, and really made sure I really did it right, and I just had to focus on that. So fix that stuck valve, shifts perfect. So the other thing that we kind of dealt with after that was, now you got it shifting, now you're getting your shift points right, and making sure, especially with the AOD, I'm not an expert on this at all, I'm just telling you what I've learned, is you want to make sure you get your pressures right, because you'll burn the transmission up in 2 seconds. So I adjusted my cable as it was described, and my shifts were kind of high. I was shifting probably around 3 grand under light throttle. So I know my pressures were good. It was nice and firm, but it wouldn't shift into overdrive till about 65 miles an hour on the speedometer. I don't know if it was 65 or 95. It felt like we were doing 100 when it finally shifted. But we went back, and I backed off on the cable just a little bit, about 3 or 4 turns, and basically loosened up on the TV cable, and the shift points are just right, and I got a little video of it, me and Joni driving up the street. So as you can see in that video, it's driving, shifting. So we got that problem worked out. Well, the other thing now is speedometer. I don't have my oil pressure gauge has been acting up. Just not really showing right. Temperature gauge worked.
Fuel gauge?
Fuel gauge, nope. So every time we drive it, we go put 2 or 3 gallons of gas in it because I was terrified to break down. So Joni, for Christmas, got me an awesome present. So I'll show you guys this real quick. Ta-da! That is the Dakota Digital RTX gauge set. And that thing is sweet. So we're going to install that here in just a minute. So I'm excited about that. The money we spent on that, whew, but the amount of money we've spent in this thing you got to finish it. So what are the problems we had? It was speedometer, transmission. Oh, last night took the girls for the first ride. We didn't get video of it because it was the middle of the night. We went to my mom's, and driving home, it went to skipping and bucking, almost like it's running out of fuel, running out of spark. I don't know what it was.
And she only lives about 10 minutes down the road.
Right, so it's not like we were far away, but I got a video of it doing the same thing. I was going to drive it to work one day, so I'll let you hear that. So as you can tell with that, it was kind of popping and skipping, and you could tell my phone went from the road right down to my leg, and I just tried to get it back to the house. So after jetting the carburetor, this carburetor is so fat, which is rich. I dejetted it, so basically I put some larger metering jets in it, which in a sense slows the fuel down. But still, when an initial crank in the morning, the choke, it just about floods it just with the choke closed. It runs better when the choke's open, so too much carburetor. Not quite done with this thing. Every time we think we're done, we're going to do a little bit more. Oh, squeaky steering wheel. Every time we turn, it's squeak. So finally found out what that was, and it was the horn button riding on the disc. So I put some bulb grease on it for your light bulbs. Just reached in there with a Q-tip, no more squeak. So it's just those little things that it's just annoying, but you got to find. So
It doesn't have sun visors, I noticed.
it doesn't have sun visors, but we're not putting those in.
It would be helpful whenever you're driving into the direct sun.
Yeah, she was being blinded yesterday.
And I didn't have my sunglasses, so.
So we'll do sunglasses. We're not doing visors.
Oh, okay.
So, but let's put this gauge set in. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up on where we're at and what we've been doing. And by the way, Ridgecrest Robotics, 4th place overall. They did a great job. So real proud of them, as always. So, all right, now we can. All right, so with this kit, I've installed the Dakota digital gauges before in my 65 Mustang, and it was very similar to this. It had a control box, somewhat like this one. But it comes with all the sensors, the wiring, and stuff that we'll need. It's got this buzzer. I don't remember having this before, but apparently we can program it so it'll alarm, for different scenarios, low oil pressure, whatever. But we have our temperature sensor, oil pressure sensor, our speed sensor, and it comes with the adapter that goes into the transfer case. So basically everything you need other than the bezel, and this is the bezel I took off of my speedometer. So I will have to put that on. So I've already taken out the speedometer, and I took the speedometer out, and then if you have your fresh air duct in, you can go ahead and take it out, because really to me it makes it much easier to get in here and work behind the dash. I didn't want to take the dash out. So mine just has the block off plate, so I just pulled it off. I can reach in here. So I've got all my wires pulled. I know it looks like a rat's nest, but what I did is I had to go back and clip a lot of the little wire ties and stuff to release these wires as much as I can, like my high beam indicator, my right turn indicator, all this kind of stuff is going to have these wires. I will end up clipping and sending them to that control box. Like with these bulbs that were in the original cluster, I'll use the colored wire. The black is just the ground. The ground will be there. I won't have to worry about it. But the one I'm wanting is like this white one, white with a blue stripe. So I'll do that all the way across. They're all still labeled. But the temperature I won't need. So what I'll end up doing is just taping this one up. So each signal I need, I'll send it to the control box. So right now, as you can tell, I've just got everything pulled out where I can work with it and I can see it. And then I can pull the wires and try to pull them in some type of order, because right now it's a mess, I understand. So my control box, looking under the dash, I found the easiest place for me to put it is right here on the pedal assembly bracket. I went ahead and I have it pre-drilled, so basically this will go in and I'll mount it right here. I can get to my wires easy, I can read it. So if I ever have to do any troubleshooting, it's right here. I'm looking at it outside the Bronco rather than staring up through the bottom of this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this this mounted, and then the next thing we'll do is route the 3 wires: temperature, oil pressure, and the speed sensor. I'm gonna pull it through the original speedometer hole. I've got one of the original style, like foam gaskets like this one is. I've got another one. I'm gonna run the 3 wires through it, and then that way they'll go to the sensors. So the way I'm gonna mount this is the plug-in cables, I'm gonna have them facing down because they're a little more rigid. And since I have this kind of pulled up close to the top of the cowl here, these wires are all smaller gauge and I can just kind of feed them in. So all my cables will just all plug in the bottom here. All right, so now as you can see, that's mounted, and we'll move on to the next thing. We have a switch. It's like a 2-way switch they want you to mount, and that's for when you're setting up your gauges and setting your speedometer. So we need to get it mounted up under the dash real quick. This is a switch that they're wanting us to install. It's just a momentary switch, but this is for setting everything up. And I had 2 holes already drilled under the dash. Well, I don't know if they're stock holes or if they were from the previous owner, but anyways, they fit these 2 perfectly. So I decided this was going to be as good a place as any. So I'll just get that tightened down, and then we can route this cable to the control box here in just a minute. All right, so now we're going to put in our temperature switch. I'm just going to kind of pull this cap loose and get it out of the way. This is the temperature switch here on top of the intake. What I'm going to do is I already have the Teflon on my parts here, and this is going to make a mess. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to put this rag around it, and I'm going to, when I remove this, I'm going to try to get this other one shoved in the hole as quick as possible, and maybe not make a terrible mess.
Oh, you're good at making messes.
Oh, I know. And this is going to make one. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. All right, so let's see. Maybe I can do this. Don't try this at home, folks. Okay, here it goes.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh. Come on, put it in there. There we go. Wasn't too bad. You're proud of me, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
No, tighten the top one. I just had the other one kind of run down on there. That was the adapter. And then now this is the top one I just tightened. There we go. Okay, well here's the oil pressure sensor. I have to remove this. And so it's going to be really hard for Joni to be down there with me. So I'm just going to get that sensor pulled, and I'm going to replace it with this one. This is another one supplied with the gauge set. So we'll be right back. All right, so now we're going to get under the Bronco, and we're going to install our speed sensor. Well, they say to be very careful when you put this thing together. I'm going to show you this right now. They said just make sure you get it rotated so the sensor goes in and screws on easy, because they say these threads are real delicate. If you cross thread it, it ruins this speed sensor, and then you'll have to get another one, and they won't replace it. You'll have to buy it. So just wanted to point that out. That was in the instructions. But what I'm going to do is just remove the cable. I'll show you under here. So we'll remove this cable here, which is our speedometer cable, and we'll insert the speed sensor there. But what I have to do is I have to get the cable pulled out so I can get the gear off of the end of the cable and put it onto the sensor before I can install it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that real quick and show you what we got. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just remove my gear from this cable. Just pull your keeper off. Basically just remove that. Slide that in. That didn't.
I don't like the sound of that.
The end of it is too long. So when I try to slide, I don't know if you can see it right in here. It won't get down to this area here where the clip needs to go. I can hear it bottoming out in here. What it feels like I need to do is cut that off. You don't like that, do you?
No, I don't. Why can't it just go together and be easy?
Nothing's easy.
Yes, as we have come to realize that.
I think what I would like to do almost is drill the end of it out, but I don't want to mess up the square inside there. So I could just push it all the way through, and then this would just come out the end of this, which wouldn't hurt anything.
So you want to think on that a minute?
Well, it's that or cut this off, and I don't know that I want to do that.
Okay, why don't you just think about it?
All right, so I was explaining to Joni, what I did end up doing was just drilling the end of my gear out, so I didn't have to cut this off. She was asking why I had to do that, because what needs to happen is this slot needs to be within this area here. So when I slide this keeper on, this keeps this gear from jumping out and just falling down inside the transfer case. So this drill bit was about the same diameter inside of that square. As you can tell, I didn't damage the square. I drilled it from this side, just went straight down, and then now it's a tight fit, but I can push it on. Let's see, let's see, I think it's there now. Yeah. See it coming. Sorry, I know we're jumping around here. You see it's coming up.
I'm not jumping, you jumping.
I'm jumping? My bad.
I'm being still.
All right. So now I just snap that in. And now it's not going to go anywhere. All right, let's get that reinstalled. Okay, here's the sensor installed. So now we'll just need to run our harnesses from each sensor back up to the control panel. Okay, so now I've got my sensors in. I'm going to go ahead and route my cables, and then I'll show you how I've got them routed once I get it done. This, to kind of speed this video up a little bit. Okay, so we've got the cables run from each one of our sensors, the oil pressure, temperature sensor, and speed sensor. So the oil pressure and temperature sensor, I basically ran the cables together across the engine up underneath the power brake booster bracket here. And then the speed sensor followed the same path underneath the body to the transfer case. And then I used the same foam. It's the same thing they used in the speedometer cable. And I had ordered this, and this was just an extra one I had, so I just fished the cables through it. So I know I don't have all my wires hidden on this thing, but as you can tell underneath the hood, it is jam-packed full of stuff everywhere. So we're going to get it cleaned up as much as possible. So the next thing we want to do before we get everything wired up in the control box is I'm going to go ahead and put the speedometer in place, because it only has 2 cables that hook to it. So this will be really easy to hook to, one of the last things we do. But this way I can get it in there and start getting my wires pulled out. If I can get just enough wire pulled out over the top where I can wire my control panel from the outside here, get everything tightened up, it'll be good. I just don't want to work from underneath the dash, sticking my head under there. I'm getting old. So
you've already smacked your head enough this week.
Yeah, I did. So long story, we won't go there. So anyways, this speedometer comes with a couple screws because this bezel here is aluminum, and so they send you 4 screws so you can attach your bezel to it. And then we'll get it stuck in the hole, and then I'm going to work out the wiring for a little bit, and I'll call Joni back out here when I feel like I have something to show. I'm really excited to use this thing. I never thought I would miss a tachometer. I felt like it would be fine, but I kept looking down like I was wanting to see what RPM I was running, especially when I was looking into my shift points. So now I have a tach up here. All right, well, that's set in there. Man, it looks pretty. So I'll be glad to see it with all this out of the way. But anyway, so I'm going to send Joni to the house for a little bit while I start sorting out all this wire. And not sure how much of this I'm going to show. Each one of these bulbs has got a black wire. Well, that's your ground. We're not going to need that. What I need is the blue side. Like this one, it's a gauge light. This one is front turn indicator. What was that? Right front turn indicator. So it's all that you'll be using, and we'll be plugging in the proper hole. And I don't want to sit there and show you guys all that.
They wouldn't be able to see it anyway.
They won't. my big hand's in the way. So back in a minute. So guys, yesterday when Joni left, I stayed in here and finished wiring up the box, the control box. So since I don't have a radio in this Bronco and I don't plan on putting one in it, I used the radio circuit from Painless, and it powered it great, and then I know exactly where all that's going. So that was basically these 4 wires here. So as I was talking about, guys, so what I used was my radio harness. So this is the constant power, switch power, the tach driver here, the ground, and then the light. So it dims, is actually runs down here at the bottom of the control box. That's what that dim does. So when you turn your headlights on, it'll actually auto dim your gauge bezel. But then I have my fuel cylinder signal wire, then a ground, and then you have your right turn, left turn, high beam, all down here at the bottom. So it was relatively simple to wire, just as long as you know where your wires are. And I try to get everything tidied up in there as much as possible. So let's show you what these things look like on the inside. So it goes to its gauge check. And then right now, we haven't calibrated our speed sensor yet, which we're about to go out there and do, and we'll take you guys along with us. But it's just a good looking gauge set. I haven't gone through yet and selected the colors that I want to use yet. But, you know, you can custom tune it to however you want it. You can have a separate daylight mode and a nightlight mode. You can change the color of your needles. I'm talking about there's so much it'll do. I was wanting to show Joni the colors of the gauges. I'll show you guys. I haven't selected it yet. So what I need to do to go in setup mode is hold the switch that we mounted. I just hold it to the right. Let's see. turn the key on, and it goes into setup mode. And what I do is you use this switch and you toggle through. Go to lighting, and then when you get to that, you hold the button. And now it's asking you, what do you want the theme? Well, we're going to go to theme. Day and night. And what it is I was saying you can have your gauge light up the same color day and night, or you can select just day, just night. So, and then have two different colors. So as soon as you turn your light switch on, your colors will change. I'm just going to have mine at the same color. So we'll go day and night. I'm going to hold it. And now it's going to say, what color do you want? So that's fire and ice. I call that wild rose. So it's just really neat. And that's the one I want to go with right there.
I like that one.
Because this is really close to the color of the Bronco, and it'll show this at night too. So I think to set this, all I need to do now is hold it. And now my lighting is set for day and night. So that's cool. So now let's go out and set the speedometer.
Okay.
Alright guys, so we have our Bronco running. We're in our setup mode, and I'm in auto calculate. So what we're going to do is, last night when we were out, I went out and measured a mile on our local road here, and that's what I need to do. So I don't need to do anything else until I get to my start point. Then I'll let it know. Then all I have to do is drive a mile. I can start, stop, whatever. Just don't spin the wheels, you know, and do that measured mile. And then when I hit it again at it, it'll set the speedometer and we'll be ready to go. But right now, my gauges are all working, about 14 volts, idling about 800, 180 degrees, running about 55 pounds oil pressure idling.
And we have fuel.
We have gas. Holy. So let's go see what this thing will do. Start point. I'm holding set. Now it's telling me to drive 1 mile.
Yes,
okay.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. So our speedometer's ready to go. So we finally know that we have gas, so the girls won't freak out. when it starts skipping and bucking again. So where are we gonna go, Madison?
We're gonna go get some ice cream.
Ice cream, sweetie. You can tell Presley's real enthused.
You don't like ice cream?
I do.
Well, anyways, not to make you guys jealous, but this is January 1st, 2023, and we're in shorts, t-shirt, and with the window open, about to go for a ride. So. Uh-oh. All right, let's go. Alright, so we're here at Sonic. What'd you get?
I got an Oreo sundae. I got a brain freeze.
Anyways, so it's been a long time to get to this point. So I think we're just going to end the video here. So we appreciate you guys hanging in there, and hopefully if you've been looking to get this gauge set, this is absolutely some of the best money I've spent on this thing yet. I really, really like it. And no, they didn't sponsor it. We had to pay the $1,539. So it is expensive, but so is the build. And I think we're getting to that real soon, so we can show you guys how much we actually spent on this thing. But anyways, until next time, you guys take care. Bye. Joni wanted to drive. Of course, she's not on the highway.